women in Uganda's agribusiness sector is barely documented. This is because women's contribution in agriculture has always been attributed to their counterparts, the heads of the households. Today, more women are breaking the barrier and taking a lead in the agribusiness sector. Coming up on Seeds of Gold.
I feed them on maize bran. I put in chicken droppings. We sieve chicken droppings. We dry them. Then we mix them with maize bran, then add some salt.
Florence Banjirana is a qualified nurse who has since deserted the profession to join farming. After saving up just enough to kickstart her farming business, Florence purchased a 1-acre piece of land and decided to give more care to crops, animals and birds. Starting as a young woman, Florence started farming with just 2 local chicken and has now graduated to a poultry farm of over 2,000 birds every season, over 100 pigs and an evergreen and bearing banana plantation. Florence says she is living her dream as a woman. Florence picked interest in the piggery project after hearing that pigs feed well on chicken poo. She followed the advice and decided to put up a piggery project. To start up a farming project like piggery or poultry, all you need is passion and the will to take on the risks.
I started with 4 were females and 1 was a male. Among the 4 females, 2 never gave birth. Being my first animals, I overfed them, I think. And being that they were few, we used to give them a lot of food. They grew so huge and failed to give birth. The one that attempted gave birth to only 1. Then they told me I'd overfed them. But the 2 that gave birth, they are the ones which made all this. Because apart from this long one, I introduced in 2 females, long ones from another farm. And apart from the males I bring in from other farms, I've never bought pigs elsewhere. It is the other 2 that gave birth to the whole thing. At the moment I have 164, but before they've accumulated even to 280, then when they take the young ones, they reduce. But the mothers I maintain, they're around 18, 20.
When starting up a piggery project, much may not be required. All you need are the basics, such as space and finding the right breed.
Piggery actually requires very little money because, as I told you, this was my first one. It's something which is temporary. It costs like 350 to construct such. Then of course buying, I bought each piglet at 90,000 where I bought them from. So that adds up 9350, that is 400 and something. Then the feeds, of course when you receive them they are still young, the feeds are little. So to begin piggery, I think even 300, any amount can begin, depending on how many you need. Even half an acre can accommodate more than 300 pigs, depending on how you construct them. Yes.
When purchasing pigs, you need to get a male, which is about 4 months, and females, which are about 2 months. A good breed has to be longer, taller, and larger in size. A good breed should range between 5 to 10 kilograms at 1 month and 60 to 120 kilograms at 6 months before slaughter. Some of the breeds on the market include Hampshire breed, black in color with a white belt around the shoulder 4 quarters. Large white breed, white in color, has erect ears and a ditched face. Landrace breed, white in color with a long and big body that has deep sides, local breeds and crossbreeds, which are bred between hybrids and the local breeds.
It was a mixture of landrace and large white. The mother was a large white and the father was a landrace. It can give birth to so many, but challenges with breastfeeding. It has little breast milk and it loses weight during that period of breastfeeding. This one has given birth 4 times. It's around around 2 years, I think. It's the same breed like the other. It is a mixture of large white and landrace. At its size now, 700,000, 750. When I'm selling to a farmer, it can even go to 800,000. And when it's pregnant, it can even go higher than that. Because these small ones, I sell them 400,000 when it has conceived for the first time. 450, 400. I make them conceive at 8 months. My first breed, I got it from that particular farm. Then it gave birth to these ones. And they were white. The ones I brought were white. All of them were white. But they gave birth to that type. When I sold the male, their original father, that color disappeared from the farm. It had disappeared for almost 3 years or 2. But I wanted it back. Then I went back to that farm. The male I got now has brought back that color.
Feeding in pigs should be the easiest, since most pigs reared in Uganda eat anything given to them. The food given to the pigs include echinazi, maize bran, vegetables and leftover food. They should be fed on foods rich in vitamins, proteins, minerals, and it should also have plenty of clean water provided to them.
I feed them on maize bran. I put in chicken droppings. We sieve chicken droppings, we dry them, then we mix them with maize bran, then add some salt. But usually, like now, it's a rainy season and these greens are very many everywhere. And we have a plantation of sweet potatoes where we usually get for them. So when maize bran goes up, like now, it's up. We give a small portion of maize bran, we supplement with this one. These are feeds for the small piglets. Usually they drink less water, so we want them to grow faster, to drink a lot of water. So we decide to add for them, even in their feeds. Then also the adults, in a dry season, we do this. We mix in water for adults. But when it's a rainy season for adults, we give them dry food so that they drink a lot of water. Being a rainy season, we think they will not drink water as we want. But when we give them dry, they drink a lot of water. This mixture is maize bran. We have in maize bran. Then some small feeds from the lake called dudu. They are not mokene, not fish, but some small things sold at the lake. Then we put in cotton seeds. They are crushed. We add in plus salt and maize bran. Then a small portion of chicken droppings.
Pigs are meant to feed at different intervals and according to their age. Pigs between 2 weeks and 2 months should always have unlimited feeding throughout the night and if possible each time they are awake. They should start feeding on 1 kilogram from 2 to 3 months. At 3 to 4 months, the amount of food should be increased to 1.5 kilograms and at 4 to 5 months to 2 kilograms per day. At 5 to 7 months, they should be fed within 2.5 kilograms and above 7 months, the pigs should be fed with 3 kilograms. A pregnant sow at 2.5 months will eat 3 to 3.5 kilograms. At 3 months, the quantity increases to 4 kilograms, and after delivery, each piglet can be given a quarter. It should also be noted that a sow is pregnant for only 115 days, and to avoid overeating, you should limit the food given.
For each piglet, I only do like this. 1 hand for a piglet. We do it once a day. At 11, we are done. Tomorrow, we shall just add water. At around 2, we shall add water. When water gets finished, we add. Of course, we don't want to overfeed because the feeds are costly themselves. And we realize even when we feed once, they maintain a good weight and good health. Because for them, they can feed even on 10 kilos a day as long as you provide, which we cannot sustain.
In order to be successful in piggery, one must ensure the health of the pig stock. It is important to know which are some of the most common pig diseases, their symptoms, and treatment methods. It is also very important to work with veterinary technical staff. Swine fever presents as a swine dysentery with a reduced growth rate, and in severe cases, death may occur. Coccidiosis, very common in suckling piglets. The main symptom is bloody diarrhea. Rabies. The pig becomes aggressive, shaky, shouts in a hoarse voice, quickly attacks other pigs or other animals, causing serious wounds. The sows devour on their piglets. Respiratory diseases such as coughing, sneezing, heavy breathing, and poor growth. To treat, antibiotics are often given in feed or water as an injectable substance.
We usually detect their illness when they don't eat food. And when we give that drug we get from the drug shops, they respond immediately. So we've not gotten those cases where it falls sick, stays down like that. Major drug I use here is oxytetracycline and vitamin. I've not had any case of swine fever. The one I suspected to be, I called the doctor and he said it wasn't. And I'm thinking it's because of hygiene. Because they clean daily, every day. The 3 people who work here must clean. Then I don't bring in other people to bring their pigs for mating and what. Then people never cross this side. And you see we have a fence. People's pigs never cross this side.
You may consider some important measures to prevent most of these diseases. Pigs must be kept in enclosed spaces with good hygiene. New stocks should be purchased only from a well-trusted supplier, accompanied by official documents. The doctor should be notified immediately of any signs or disease or mortality. The bodies of dead pigs infected or suspected to be infected with contagious disease must be handled by neutralization units with the support of local authorities. To help farmers get a better understanding for animal keeping and management, Bukola Quality Chemicals have opened up a new veterinary section where a farmer is free to walk in for quality technical support of their animals. Dr. Sarah Nalubowa is a veterinary consultant at Bukola and elaborates more on piggery care and management.
Under piggery management, basically what one would first of all consider when he wants to start a piggery unit, I would advise that person to first look at the structuring. You look at the housing construction, the piggery unit. First of all, the location where the piggery unit is, yes, it should be accessible. The construction of the piggery unit should be well ventilated. Then we advise that the floor should be concrete, should have hard surfaces, should be easily cleaned because it's supposed to be cleaned on a daily basis. And then we advise a spacing for each piggery unit depending on whether you are raising pigs for marketing or you are going to sell piglets. When you are feeding these pigs, if you are, say you want to fatten and take it to the market earlier, you ensure that it gets more kilograms in a few months before it is taken to the market. Therefore, when you are buying the feed, you ensure that the feed has more proteins than the carbohydrates so that it grows faster because proteins, they are bodybuilders. But when you are raising it to produce piglets, you ensure that as it is tending to 4 months, the gilts, you reduce the protein content and then increase the carbohydrates so that fattening is reduced. So that when you serve it, it can easily give you what you require. Then I would advise also that person to look at the breed. We normally have different breeds and we normally look at the qualities. Like we have pigs which have good mothering abilities. They produce many pigs and they look after them, piglets, and they look after them up to maturity, as in we don't have very many death rates. So in that like for instance, we have large white, we have a landrace, and recently there is also a Duroc. They have just brought it on market from South Africa. We have this rampant African swine fever, but it's like a deadly disease because for it you just find the pigs dead. And currently we don't have a vaccine for that. But like if you take measures like hygiene and you have kept your pig, you have ensured quarantine, good quarantine measures. The pigs let's say you are bringing in pigs from outside to keep in, you must ensure that it's thoroughly examined. They have treated, if it is sick, of course it is eliminated. You ensure that what you are bringing in is healthy. So when you are keeping it, when you're bringing, normally the vaccine here, what we recommend is at least the FMD, foot and mouth disease vaccine. After vaccinating them, then we'll have a problem of anemia. Since they produce very many piglets, there is that problem of reduced blood. Some of them, we normally have a supplement of iron, and we have different drugs on the market for supplying. Right now we have like a Dawaf. I can give an example from BD. That one you can give it immediately when the 2 to 3 days you inject. It's an IM, and also the mother. Then for the care of the mother, we advise you give her salt, some supplements of salt other than the feed, like I've told you, proteins and carbohydrates. And also you give a salt for helping to increase the milk since they are going to be suckling.
When looking for market, it is advisable not to sell piglets as they fetch less for the farmer. Rather, feed the pigs for about 6 months. At this stage, the local breeds will weigh between 50 to 60 kilograms, 90 to 100 kilograms for the exotic breeds, and 60 to 80 kilograms for the crossbreeds. Within the 6 months, a farmer is likely to spend about 300,000 shillings on each piglet and yet look to make more profit. Pig price range for piglets is between 130 to 180,000 shillings. Adult pigs go for between 300,000 to 500,000 shillings on the local market.
Usually, the ones who buy the small ones, they are more interested in female ones than males, because they usually say on a particular farm they either get males only or females only. They can't take both males and females. from one farm. And the standard is 180 per piglet. Then locally, it goes for 150 for the local community, 150, 160, around there. Then the big ones, 6 months and what, I usually sell at 350, 400. When you find it pregnant, it depends on its type, its size, when it's big, or the gestation age. Like when it has 2 months to give birth, 1 month to give birth, I estimate how many babies will it give birth to. Then I look at it, how it looks like, I put a price.
Next week, we continue to dive into Florence Banjirana's farming business as Seeds of Gold visits her on her poultry farm.